I'm going to retranslate Genesis. That's wrong. He didn't do that. Later on, he goes back and he says, I think I'm going to give the whole Bible a try. In this book, The Lost Gems of Genesis, I have to start out by debunking what people think the Pearl of Great Price is, because they're wrong. If you don't like Joseph Smith, you're going to hate this book. Because he just can't stop winning. He can't stop winning. It's just a theory, so don't shoot me about this, okay? But
the lost book of Adam's revelation from the serpent.
Yeah, right.
The lost history and gospel of Didymus Thomas the Blind.
Right. A mismatch. It's like Skittles and M&M's. They're both great, but you don't put them together.
The lost 116 pages.
Lost 116 pages.
Oh.
Right. But by 1829, we only get 60% of what the book, that original 1823 document was. There's a lot of misconceptions around what the Pearl of Great Price is. The Pearl of Great Price really doesn't have a label.
This episode is brought to you by the Go and Do Travel Wave Makers 2025 LDS Podcaster Cruise. If you guys want to come hang out with me on a boat, as well as Greg Maxson, Jacob Hansen, Hayden and Jackson, Paul, David Boyce, Dave Butler, and Jasmine Rappley, you got to check out the links in the description. Make sure you use the coupon code WARDRadio10 to receive 10% off. Now back to the video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ward Radio. Jonah's got a brand new book, Take 2. It's called The Lost Gems of Genesis. And our main man, the associate professor of all things apocryphal, is here to talk about it. And the first topic du jour is what again?
Everybody thinks they know what the Pearl of Great Price is, and everybody's wrong.
Oh, Bruce Porter said that. I think it was Hugh Nibley he was quoting, saying the Pearl of Great Price is the book that answers all of the questions. Is that what you're getting at, man, or what?
More fundamentally than that, actually, is that people really don't know what the Pearl of Great Price is. They really don't know what the heck the book is.
And the Apocrypha tells us what it is, illuminates it, or your insight does?
There's some history, just like history. The Joseph Smith papers have just kind of, they dive into it and they're like, oh, well, this makes more sense. Yeah, there's some apocryphal paleography and philology that can tell us a lot about it. But in this book, The Lost Gems of Genesis, I have to start out by debunking what people think the Pearl of Great Price is, because they're wrong.
Okay.
And try to explain, give you some context, what is the Pearl of Great Price? It's canon. It's canon. It's one of the 4 standard works. It's 25% of our canon.
Cool.
And people don't really understand much of where it came from. So I think it's useful to to explain, because it can be kind of interesting. And there's an interesting theory I'm going to float. Okay. And it's just a theory, so don't shoot me about this. Okay. But it is kind of compelling. I think it's kind of interesting, and some people might find my argument convincing. So
okay, well, before we dive in, just a little bit of ward business. Thank you very much to M. Smith for the contribution from the Amazon wish list.
Ooh.
You've been very generous in the past as well as now. And he sends a note that says, when Cardon declares something wild or Kwaku gets righteously riled, at least now you'll be in pure cotton glee, stylishly faithful and styled. From M. Smith. Yes, he purchased 4 more Gildan heavyweight
he wrote it
shirts for me.
In rhyme?
True Classic tees and Gildan shirts are the Ward Radio shirts are Gildan. And oftentimes I wear True Classic tees.
He wrote it in rhyme?
He always writes his notes in limerick and in rhyme.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's pretty wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's totally awesome donor. It's pretty great. So keep going.
Wow.
My man. So we don't know what the Pearl of Great Price is, but you do. Hit it.
So point of clarification, Your Honor. Do you have a Roman pilum spear on your Amazon wish list, Cardon?
Yes.
Okay. I was looking at the Amazon wish list and I was like, is this a true form replica of a Roman pilum spear on here?
We were doing a Dungeons and Dragons in the Book of Mormon with Dave Butler and Riley and Brad, and the audience apparently really liked it. And I said, if the audience decks me out with the cape and the spear, I will dress up next time.
Wow.
But the audience never got it, so I guess the audience has spoken. You know. So anyway.
It's there if anybody. Amazon wish list, go check it out. Okay, so the Pearl of Great Price. So the Pearl of Great Price is a conglomeration of a few different writings. Actually, I have a very useful chart that I'm going to pop in the Discord here for everybody to see. The Anatomy of a Pearl. And this is from the first chapter of my book, The Lost Gems of Genesis. Just kind of laying the groundwork for when you pick up the Pearl of Great Price, you're actually picking up several different documents all kind of smooshed into one.
Okay, it's this one right here, right?
No, actually, I'm going to put a new chart right there.
Oh, interesting. Okay, got it.
And go check out that guy, okay?
Is it in the general?
No, it should be in Jonah's Apocrypha.
Okay, gotcha.
So the Pearl of Great Price is pieced together. It has 3 revelations that are here highlighted. The revelation to Joseph, revelation on Moses, and the revelation concerning Adam. Those 3 revelations are what we now call the Book of Moses. Okay?
Okay.
Those were not given together. Those were not given as one text. Those are 3 distinct texts given at 3 different times, and some by different scribes. Revelation 2, and the titles, the names of them are very much apocrypha. Like, guys, forgeries have like amazing names that are like the
lost book of Adam's revelation from the serpent.
Yeah, right.
The lost history and gospel of Didymus Thomas the blind.
Right. But this is like so Joseph Smith, just banal. Like the title is A Revelation to Joseph the Seer to the Elders of the Church. Like a revelation, like not like the anything. It's just like a revelation. Like they came without titles. And so Joseph reveals these 3 revelations in 1830, right after the Book of Mormon is published, by the way. And then much later on, 5 years later, the Book of Abraham is revealed. He goes back, he does Joseph Smith Matthew. He writes the Joseph Smith History, I think 1838 in the Wentworth Letter.
Okay.
Articles of Faith. So these are all written at different times in different places. But the 3 that we're most concerned about, these initial revelations, were given in 1830, and they are anadictions.
Whoa, what's that?
It's a word I made up.
Anadiction.
An anadiction. So there's predictions, which are trying to foretell what is going to happen.
Okay.
And then there's anadictions, which tell that something did happen. They look back. Okay. So a prophet says, here's the things that are going to happen. And a seer says, here's things that did happen.
Good point.
Now, the example is Nephi in the book of Helaman. Nephi, he says, you're all going to be destroyed because you're all wicked. And everybody laughs at him. And he goes, oh, yeah? You don't believe me? He's predicting the future. They don't believe him. So he says, go to the judgment seat. Remember this?
Okay.
Go to the judgment seat. And what are you going to find at the judgment seat? You're going to find the chief judge has been slain. He's dead. And instead of predicting something that's going to happen, he's anadicting something that did happen.
Okay.
That can be demonstrated immediately. And so the people run to the judgment seat, and what do they find? He's dead.
Okay.
And they're like, how could this guy know this? And a lot of the people, not all of them, but some of the people said, he's a god, he's a prophet, he must know. Let's believe his future predictions because he got his anadictions correct. Get it?
Yeah.
So this, from Joseph Smith, this is not a prediction he's making. He's not prophesying that someday Adam will do this or someday Enoch will do that. He's saying these things did happen in the past. So I call them anadictions, okay? They're distinct. So Joseph Smith History, Articles of Faith, like those are contemporaneous records. He's just writing it about what happened. Like it's not, So it almost doesn't quite belong together. It's kind of a mismatch. It's like Skittles and M&Ms. Like they're both great, but you don't put them together. Like that's only Satan who put those together.
Yeah, exactly.
And so anyways, but these anadictions that he writes in the Pearl of Great Price, he writes them in from June 1830 to December 1830. Okay. He gives no explanation for why he's doing it. I want to tell the world, tell the church, stop saying this is the Joseph Smith translation. It's not. It's not. He never said, I'm going to retranslate Genesis. That's wrong. He didn't do that. Later on, he goes back and he says, I think I'm going to give the whole Bible a try. and does the Joseph Smith translation, the inspired version that we know of today, the JST, right?
Yeah.
But these 3 revelations, he gives no explanation as to why he receives them. All of a sudden, the Book of Mormon is published literally weeks in the past, and he just starts receiving revelation to Joseph on Moses and concerning Adam. And in 6 months, he has all these new revelations that have been given, and he never says why. He never says what prompts it. Okay? So.
What are we supposed to call it if we don't call it the Joseph Smith translation?
Well, it's not. I mean,
inspired commentary? Because I've always kind of viewed it as a commentary, right?
So here's a theory. Why do we have them at all? Doesn't the Book of Mormon contain the fullness of the gospel?
Yeah. Sure.
Why reveal anything else? In March 1830, we get the Book of Mormon. Okay. Why bother with any? If that is the fullness of the gospel of Jesus Christ, what's the point of revealing anything more? Right?
Sure.
Well, and that in the introduction to the Book of Mormon, it says it contains the fullness of the gospel of Jesus Christ, right? And we all know that, right?
Cool, yeah.
But it actually doesn't say that. That's actually another misconception. The revelation that the Book of Mormon contains the fullness of the gospel in the intro, which was put in like 1981, comes from Doctrine and Covenants, section 20, verses 6 through 9.
Okay.
And it was given in 1829.
Okay.
I mean, it was written in 1829. And it says, humbling himself sincerely through faith, God ministered unto him, Joseph, by an angel. Oh, did I not put this one in there for you?
No, keep going.
That's okay. I can just read it up. And whose countenance was lightning, whose garments were white above all other whiteness, and he gave it commandments and inspired him. Translate the Book of Mormon, a record of a fallen people which contains the fullness of the gospel of Jesus Christ to the Gentiles and Jews also. That's D&C 20 verse 9. And we think, well, that's what it says. Well, that revelation was not given in 1829. That's recounting the visitation of Moroni from 1823. And the 1823 appearance, which Joseph Smith recounts in his history, says exactly that. And I put them next to each other so you can see. This D&C 20 is just taking from the 1823 experience. So in 1823, Moroni says, this contains the everlasting gospel, the fullness of the everlasting gospel, he says. Now, is there any difference between the Book of Mormon in 1823 and 1829?
I don't know what.
Any
1823, it didn't exist.
1823, it was all on plates, right?
Yeah.
And then between there and 1829, when it gets published,
it's just the version that he was allowed to see, not the sealed portion.
Not the sealed portion. That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. What else was missing from the final?
The lost 116 pages.
Lost 116 pages.
Oh.
Right.
Hey guys, we're going to press pause just for 1 second to remind you guys this episode is also sponsored by scripturenotes.com, the coolest way of reading your scriptures online. If you guys want a free 14-day trial, please visit scripturenotes.com. Also, mention us in the checkout for a small discount. Links will be in the description. Roll tape.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So funny, huh? Funny thing. Wait a minute. So in 1823, Moroni says this contains the fullness of the everlasting gospel, but by 1829, we only get 60% of what the book, that original 1823 document was.
So we need the Bible to compensate for what was missing in the lost 116 pages you're suggesting.
Well, if I thought the Bible wasn't a corrupted mess, maybe.
So we need the Pearl of Great Price to compensate.
So picture, so everybody knows the South Park episode, okay? Where Martin Harris is like, oh, I lost the pages. And Joseph's like, you can just translate from the plates of Nephi. And Martin Harris is like, whoa, that's great. And everyone's like, dum, 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 dum. Okay. They, of course, forget to mention that Martin Harris's son-in-law was a document forger with a history of forging documents and stealing people's money. And he was after Martin Harris's money, whatever. The point is, Joseph couldn't go back and give the 116 pages, could he? Because Lucy Harris and Flanders Dyke would have said, oh, no, you don't. And they would have had it, right?
Yeah.
So he couldn't have said what this was. And yet here mysteriously, suspiciously, in June 1830, right after the Book of Mormon is off the press, right after, he starts all of a sudden receiving this revelation out of nowhere, and it happens to be about Genesis. Okay? Now, Joseph said the lost 116 pages contained the book of Lehi. Okay? Well, Lehi, who we have some of his writings on the small plates of Nephi.
Okay.
Lehi is obsessed with Genesis. Okay. And I have it in here. 63. So Lehi speaks 5,552 words in the Book of Mormon.
Okay.
And yes, I counted.
Okay. Wow.
You're welcome.
Holy crap.
Okay. 63% of those words are referencing Genesis. Dude's obsessed with Genesis.
Okay.
Lehi can't get enough of Genesis. Okay?
Okay.
His most famous sermon, which is the greatest chapter of Scripture ever, is 2 Nephi chapter 2, is all Genesis. That's what the whole thing is, right?
Okay, yeah.
So would it be so crazy to presume that the book of Lehi might have included a similar, like, Genesis-heavy content? No. And so we have this random revelation that Joseph gives all of a sudden, and it's, 12,000, 13,000 words long, all about the fundamentals of the fall and the expulsion from the garden, all what is now contained in the Book of Moses, with no explanation. We all say, oh, it's a Joseph Smith translation, but he never said that. He never said that. Actually, nobody ever said that. It was the Book of Mormon. We lose 116 pages. Oh, we can't do that again. Publish the Book of Mormon. And then Joseph goes, this isn't the 116 pages. And then publishes the Pearl of Great Price.
So do you think was Joseph Smith fraudulently calling it the Book of Moses when he was just trying to undump what he lost in the lost 116 pages? Is that what you're saying? Or
Joseph never called it the Book of Moses. That's the thing. He never told us what it was. He just gives this stuff. And we are the ones. So Franklin D. Richards, in 1857 or something, long after Joseph is dead, digs up these old revelations and puts them in a missionary tract for the missionaries in Great Britain. Then 30 years later, we take it and canonize it officially.
Wait. So where did the title, the Book of Moses, come from? Who invented that?
That's a great question.
Well, I got to ask Bruce Porter this before I believe your heresies.
Go ahead. That's fine. No, Bruce Porter's Bruce Porter will he'll corroborate a lot of what I'm saying. He'll say, "Oh, actually, I don't know who the first the revelation begins, and it says the vision that Moses had when he was on the mountain." And so it's probably from that people are like, oh, well, it's the Book of Moses or whatever. And it's Genesis-like content, and Genesis is the purported author of, Moses is the purported author of Genesis. So no wonder they call it the Book of Moses. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. The point is that Joseph never told us why he was doing it, and he never really published it. It came out, I think, in journals or periodicals, but he never put them all three together and said, this is the Book of Moses. That's what we did later.
Okay.
And so there's a lot, and then we call it the Joseph Smith translation. There's a lot of misconceptions around what the Pearl of Great Price is. The Pearl of Great Price really doesn't have a label. The most important piece, these annedictions, these three very thick annedictions, come out of the sky right after the Book of Mormon is published with no explanation. And unlike the other parts of the Pearl of Great Price, they are not predicting the future or whatever. They're supposed to be restorations of ancient texts.
Wait, so you're saying that, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that shortly after the lost 116, or the book that was supposed to contain the lost 116 pages was publicized, Joseph Smith started receiving revelations on what was most likely in the lost 116 pages without actually claiming what they were. So you think that they've been effectively mislabeled.
Because he couldn't.
And that it might have literally just been him trying to recall what was in the lost 116 pages. I remember there was a revelation to Moses. So the revelation to Moses. And here are the words that the Lord spake to Moses on the mount. And that years later, a mission president called it the Book of Moses as he was trying to annotate everything that Joseph Smith said. And we were all just trying to revere anything that he had written down as prophecy or revelator. And that the title itself is just basically an invention of the Mormon zeitgeist.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, yes. Now, there's a chart in here. It's actually The third one here, it has headings on the original manuscript OT1.
Okay, right here?
No, not that guy.
This one, okay.
So this shows the breakdown, okay? So on the right, the farthest right column, you have the Book of Moses, chapters 1 through 8, okay? That's how we break it up.
Okay.
But on the left, these are where it actually comes from. It comes from, these are the headings that the Joseph Smith Papers Project has found in a document called OT1, which is the original manuscript. And it has, and it's 3 sections. A revelation given to Joseph the Revelator.
Okay.
And then I put a little description here. Moses' vision of all the children of men which are and which were created, and his conflict with Satan. That comprises what we have in the Book of Moses, chapter 1, verses 1 through 36.
Gotcha. Next
one is revelation given to the elders of the church of Christ on the first book of Moses. The Lord's revelation to Moses concerning this heaven and this earth, the creation and the fall rerun that he gets.
Okay.
And that's from chapter 1, verse 37, all the way through chapter 4.
Okay.
Then there's the big one, and the big one is the revelation concerning Adam.
All right.
Such a lame title, right? Not even about Adam or on Adam or of Adam. It's like concerning Adam. It's just Joseph wasn't trying to write fan fiction. He wasn't trying to sell books. He's just receiving light pouring into his brain.
Okay.
So that section, revelation concerning Adam, is longest, and that's what is an account of Moses from, or perhaps to Moses, we don't know, of the expulsion to the flood, or what I call Enoch 0, the first book of Enoch.
Okay.
Before the first book of Enoch. This is the pre-book of Enoch, and that's chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8 of what we have in the book of Moses.
All right.
Okay? So, we have a lot of misconceptions about what the Pearl of Great Price is, but think of it this way. Here's an easy way to think of it. If the Book of Mormon is Captain Crunch, the Pearl of Great Price is Oops, All Berries. Okay? It's filled with delicious berries, and like every line is some insane parallel with the Apocrypha. Every sentence. And so this book could have been 1,000 pages long. The Enoch section, like I couldn't stop writing it because there's so much about Enoch in there. And Joseph just gives it. He sits down Emma one day, December 1st, 1830. He's like, honey, sit down, pick up this pen. And he just starts talking. He didn't have like the Bible in front of him. He didn't speak Latin or Greek or Hebrew. He just starts talking and these things pop out. It's an insane document. Terrell Givens called it the least intentional or the most incidental Richard Bushman called it the most incidental of Joseph's revelations. Terrell Givens called it the most ambitious, I think.
Okay.
It's kind of the DLC of the gospel. It's like the director's cut. It's like the extended version.
What's the DLC mean?
Like downloaded content. It's like the expansion pack, right? So like Book of Mormon's like the main game, and then all of a sudden there's like this extra stuff. But that extra stuff is like jam packed, like high concentrated, and so this particular book, Lost Gems of Genesis, is all about those gems that he just incidentally throws into the Pearl of Great Price that expand into huge sections in the Apocrypha and prove Joseph right again and again and again. So where did it come from? Is it the lost 116 pages? I don't know. It's awfully suspicious that all of a sudden, right after the Book of Mormon, he's like, and then there's these other things. Is that the lost 116 pages that we're going to say is a forgery? No, of course it isn't. And just comes up with this stuff. So that's kind of how it begins. You have to start right. We have to figure out, we don't understand what the Book of Moses is. Get it out of your head and start afresh. And you can look at it kind of with new eyes. And I hope everybody gets the book and eats a bowl of Oops, All Berries.
Yeah, and speaking of getting the book, here it is, The Lost Gems of Genesis, How Apocryphal Texts Prove Joseph Smith Fixed the Bible. Dude, you're brutal, bro. You're brutal. Them's fighting words. It reminds me of Cruella DeVille in the remake of the 101 Dalmatians, where she walks in with the dress and she goes like, I fixed it. And it was like her number one dress from 3 years ago or something like that. Oh, brutal.
Yeah, right.
It's a brutal. So you're like, Joseph Smith to the Bible. Oh, I fixed it,
Oh, but he did though. Oh, but he so did. Oh, but he so did. It's like all these sages for 2,000 years pouring over these 2,000 years poring over these documents with their theology degrees in the background and all talking and stroking their beards about how do we repair this hole. There's so many problems with the Bible, and they're trying to fix them. And then like Joseph Smith walks by with like one hand in his jean pocket. It's like a 14-year-old kid is like chewing on a churro. He's like, why don't you guys just like fix those holes? It's not inerrant. And they're like, let's kill him. And they kill him. Joseph fixed it all. It's astounding. So this goes through his fixes. If you don't like Joseph Smith, you're going to hate this book. Because he just can't stop winning. He can't stop winning. But the Apocrypha prove him right again and again.
I might just have to insert that interview with Charlie Sheen where he's just like,
winning.
I just can't stop winning. Winning here, winning there.
That's Joseph Smith. That's Joseph Smith, except not cocaine, but revelation.
Yes,
it's the exact same thing.
Exactly.
Same thing.
I like it. Okay, so this book, ladies and gentlemen, is available at Plain and Precious Publishing. Make sure you check it out. One more time, it is you can see it right here, The Lost Gems of Genesis, available at Plain and Precious Publishing. Make sure you guys buy a copy there because didn't you run out of your first print of your last book, man?
We ran out of 2 prints.
You ran out of 2 prints. Okay,
so hurry.
So the first print is available, all right, to Ward Radio listeners only for the first month, I believe it is, or the first 2 weeks.
Something like that.
Something like that. We got to figure that out. But they're going fast. So please check out plainandpreciouspublishing.com. Get your copy there for this and more. Please make sure you guys check us out at wardradio.com.